Christopher Kirchhoff is a leading military strategist who has helped launch the Pentagon's Silicon Valley office, formed to connect California's tech innovation with America's defense machine. He writes about it in his new book, Unit X, How the Pentagon and Silicon Valley Are Transforming the Future of War. Chris, huge pleasure to have you on. You predict exactly what happened in your book. You talk about how these airplanes are going to sit on, in bases, and you're going to have drones that can come in and destroy them. Give us a sense of the asymmetry of cost. Like, what do these planes cost, and what does the drone cost that destroys them?
Oh, it's astonishing. I mean, the drones that come in, the FPV drones, are literally a few $100s a piece, and they are blowing up, hundreds of millions of dollars of aircraft airframes. So the cost calculus is unbelievable.
Is this the future of air war?
It's not the future, it's the present, in the sense that we are now undeniably in an era of attritable precision mass. So if you think back to the first Gulf War, I mean, what an astonishing display of US technology that was, where we all watched on CNN as bombs were dropped down chimneys in buildings. But that precision strike complex, we're talking about, bombs that cost millions of dollars a piece, dropped by fighter aircraft. These drones change everything.
And they are cheap. They use GPS. And it's not just drones. The tanks we gave the Ukrainians were all destroyed by cheap Russian drones, right?
Ukraine is such a tragic war, but there is a silver lining, and that is it has woken up everybody to the reality that war is now drone on drone. And just to drive this home, the US M1A1 Abrams tank is the most advanced battle tank in the world, about $10 million a piece. We provided early in the war the Ukrainians with 31 of them. Almost all of them have now been destroyed by Russian kamikaze drones. And that tells me that the era of mechanized warfare, man-mechanized warfare, which began in the First World War, is coming to an end.
And you can't really update these old legacy systems, right? Like, what is the technology in something like the F-35 fighter jet?
So it turns out in the United States of America, there are two completely different supply chains for technology. There's one for military hardware, and then there's one for everything else. And the military supply chain runs by a different set of rules on a much slower clock because it's dated from the Cold War. It's designed to build aircraft carriers that might be with us for 80 years. It's not designed to, say, build an iPhone and come out with a new version every year. So these two systems are mismatched. I mean, the F-35, it took 16 years for that aircraft to be operational. So it flew in 2016 for the first time with a computer processor, essentially a Pentium 4 from 2000. That same year, the iPhone 7 came out with a processor 100 times faster.
Do you think the Chinese are ahead of us in this sense that they understand that they can't match America symmetrically? I notice, they're not trying to match us in aircraft carriers and things like that. Are they relying entirely on or largely on asymmetrical and high-tech warfare?
So the Chinese have a number of very significant advantages. The first is that they are a country of electronics manufacturing. They produce more drones than the US and Europe combined, probably by a factor of 100. So they are a massive factory. They are also a country that's developing ever more advanced AI, as DeepSeek has shown. Their models are just almost as compelling as our latest models. So when you put that together, they are going to end up being a very formidable adversary on the battlefield.
So how do we get ahead? Because the danger is, we're spending now over $1 trillion on defense. But I look at it, it looks like all these old legacy systems that are going to be destroyed by cheap asymmetrical warfare weapons of the future. What do we do? So
we have to stop buying the old and start buying the new. And we're beginning to do that slowly. So Defense Innovation Unit led the highest profile initiative of the Pentagon in the last few years called Replicator, which is a program to develop autonomous weapon platforms in all domains, on land, in the air, undersea, on the sea surface. The problem is that it wasn't started for more than a year and a half after Ukraine kicked off. And though directionally correct, the replicator program was only $1 billion. And if you think about $1 billion in the context of how much money the department spends buying new technology each year, it's 0.7% of that expenditure.
How do you stop buying the old stuff? Because it seems to me this is still all, under 5%, 2% of the Pentagon's budget. If you were to add all this innovation up, the problem is it's pocket change, right?
Well, the new team in the Pentagon that's come in with the Trump administration, many of whom hail from Silicon Valley, are very much signaling they are going to take a break glass approach and that they are looking to swing significant parts of the Pentagon's budget to this new defense sector.